All right, so I'm here with,
Danny Grassrope,
and where are you from?
Lord Brew, South Dakota.
And what bands are you a part of?
I am part of the Kuichasha Oyate. That's a part of the Sichangu Lakota. Um, that's which is also part of the Chetishakawi, the Seven Council Fires, and also known as the Great Sioux Nation.
And how did you get involved with No Dapple?
The Noah Dakota Access movement. I started back in April, maybe a little bit before April, like the end of March. I It's kind of crazy because I actually do a lot of running on my own time, and I wanted to go semi-professional, and I wanted to run with a purpose. A lot of people were giving me ideas and saying I should run to bring awareness of breast cancer, which is very popular to do in the town I live in. So I didn't want to do that because a lot of people already support it. Uh, then I thought of running for like the word of God, like talking out of the Bible and stuff, and just using quotes. And then right before I decided to run for a cause, actually read a I seen a flyer on Facebook and read it, and Bobby Jean was putting on a run to Omaha, Nebraska, which is the regional headquarters office of the Army Corps of Engineering, to hand deliver a petition to stop the Dakota Access Pipeline. And I didn't know that at the moment. I just saw people were running from Cannibal, North Dakota to Omaha, Nebraska, and they were coming through Laura Brew. And I just messaged Bobby Jean and told her I'm interested in helping her run through my reservation when she gets there. And she was like, "Yeah, we need all the support we can get." And then I said I'll try to round up some people as well. Didn't know that I was going to be running for a pipeline. Honestly, I didn't read the whole flyer. I just saw people like running, those little pictures they put on flyers until they got here to Lorbrew. And they spoke and they talked about the Dakota Access Pipeline and how it was going to go underneath the Missouri River and the consequences that comes with it whenever the pipeline breaks. And it didn't really catch me at first just because I was interested in the running part. But as we started to run, we ran to Fort Thompson, which is like 15 and 17 miles away from Lorbrew across the river. We got there and I I worked at the Lorbrew Tribal Courthouse, and I told them I was gonna miss the morning so I could help them run. While I eventually just called and told them I was gonna run all the way to Chamberlain, which is another like 30 miles, and from there I just kept going all the way to Omaha, Nebraska, and yeah, that's how I basically got started.
So, what made you start to listen to the messages that they were trying to put forth about the pipeline?
I would say when we got to Lake Andes, South Dakota, Unchi Faith, Spotted Tail, she or is it Spotted Hawk? I'm not too sure on her last name. Uh, Faith, anyways, Unchi Faith, she welcomed us into the Women's Society Lodge and down in Lake Andes, and she just kind of really talked to us about our the importance of our culture and everything like that. And when we got there, it kind of just hit me like I am Lakota, I'm a Native American, but I'm also French, so I was still kind of up in the air of what it meant to be Lakota and come from Lorbro, I guess. But the message really got to me whenever she talked about how we took care of the earth and how all of us just came together and helped another, and that came along with the animals, help taking care of the animals, help taking care of the crops, taking care of like the water and just watching out for everything. how we were our own gardeners and protectors, I guess, of the land. And it didn't really dawn on me until we were about to go to sleep and she was done talking to us, and I just accepted that I was Native American, because before I used to be kind of embarrassed to be Native American just because how I was brought up and what kind of lifestyle I was in. But that there was like a very spiritual moment for me, and I started to I guess get welcomed. I started Faith. She opened up a door for me and it welcomed me back to the circle, and it just, I don't know, it's just a life changing moment. And then the Dakota Access Pipeline message hit me as well. You can't have life without clean water. It's just simple as that. But yeah, that's where I guess I got the message.
Yeah. How long were you at the camp for?
I was there I went there in April after we came back from the Omaha run for a couple days, and then I went back to work at the Lower Tribal Courthouse, and then we eventually ran to DC after that, which was pretty crazy because when we got to Omaha, Nebraska, Malvin, Young Bear, he just was giving us a speech, like this isn't the end. We might have brought this message here, but it didn't end there. He was just like, who knows, we'll be running to Washington, D.C. to hand deliver the petition there next. And then eventually we end up running there. But after that, I went back to camp for another couple weeks, and then I went back to work and gave up my job and moved to camp permanently in August. We got back like August 7th or 8th, and then from there I just stayed at camp, like on and off, going back home, getting more clothes, seeing my family, and going back up to camp. So like around 8 months, I would probably say.
What was it like, just kind of like throughout those 8 months? What kind of changes did you see?
It was kind of drastic for me, I guess, because I was an alcohol abuser. I was one of those ones that like lived up to partying my 20 to 23 years of age. So like 3 years I was just all about partying, and within those 8 months I just like opened up my eyes and really got in touch with my culture, the spiritual side of it. And I could honestly say that it saved me. And I know it kind of sounds crazy because like everyone talks about it, but it really did. And it still kind of gets emotional to me too as well. But those 8 months were like, they really hit the spot for me. And of course, going through like every day waking up, knowing there's a battle when you wake up, and trying to stay in prayer and trying to keep everyone together it's very hard. It's not an easy job, but it had to be done, and I like doing it, I guess. So it kind of came easy. But whenever you had those one particular moments where everything was falling apart, those were the days that like we really did pray hard and pray together and remind each other why we were there. And I'm really glad I met like the people that I did, because they were the ones to help me get through up there. And it it was amazing too, because we had the days, we went up to the front lines, and just experiencing everything, always being watched. You don't know when or what's gonna come flying at you. So yeah, I guess with the changes, it changed like almost every hour, the mood, because you were tired, you were constantly hungry, because some days like we ate just once a day, if that even, and we snacked of course, but we didn't really get full meals on some days. showering was a big thing because most of us, came from home where we can shower every day, where that was utilized a lot. But going to camp, you didn't have that opportunity to do that. So, and then you had those like high maintenance people like me and just wanted to go shower every day and keep clean. But those were very changing. It really helped me be grateful for what I have. And I guess I'll end it there with that question.
Do you think you talked about like meeting people? Was there anyone that kind of stuck out to you, or any like group of people that thinking back like really changed or impacted your experience?
I'm really thankful for a person that I met on the run to Washington D.C. Her name is Wilma Still. She really helped. She was like a big sister, best friend kind of type. We hardly knew each other. We just met on the run. But when we went to camp, it's like we knew each other for years. She like really played a big role. She like always brought snacks and pop and always asked what I wanted. Like, I don't know, like she really supported me out there and everyone else out there too. It's just we got close. She was going through some stuff. I was going through some stuff, and kind of opened up to her at first at the moment when we got there, and she did the same, and we kind of just stuck together. But from her, there was also a group of people that's also known as the IIYC now, and there's some people that work outside the IIYC that we met at camp, and we all camped together. So that was very, very good thing for all of us because we were all young, finding our goal, our purpose in life, and that was a good experience with them. I guess that's really about it with the people who really help support and stuff. And of course you have the whole community. Can't forget that. Everyone there is just always supportive. You walk somewhere, there's always someone saying hi or asking how our day is and how we're going about protecting the water, being reminded, of course, and always staying positive and always staying in prayer, which is an important thing. Prayer was an important thing. Definitely the IIYC. I'm very thankful and for Wilma Still. Then of course Joseph Juarez, my significant other. But yeah.
What direct actions were you involved with when you got to Standing Rock?
The direct actions were to stop work for the day, of course, to remind people that they were there in prayer. And I guess a lot of that kind of got mixed up because a lot of people were confused about how to pray, and I don't know if most of them didn't know how to pray or it wasn't a clear message, but there was no wrong way of praying. A lot of times on the front lines, a lot of people were reminding people to stay in prayer, which meant when you're praying, you're usually thankful for something or asking for something in a good positive manner, whether you're hurt or just need that extra boost in life. You're asking the creator or whatever religion that you practice, who you're praying to. You just ask them for guidance and strength, and you're thankful. But a lot of people got that confused and thought we had to stop what we're doing and pray, but that wasn't the case. It was just reminding that being in prayer, it's very defined of someone to be negative and whatnot. So we just had to remind a lot of people on the front lines that they were there in prayer, and that the police officers and the military workers and DAPL workers weren't our enemy because we were doing this for their families too. And that was like honestly a fight itself, which was really hard to remind people why they were there. But I'm not forgetting the other side, because I understand that in unity you don't forget anyone, and that's even the other side. Even though you might have opposed ideas, but you still have to accept and acknowledge what is. And at that time, a lot of people were cursing and stuff at the police officers, which I didn't really agree with. But we also had to try to change their minds and their hearts as well. And I know we accomplished that a few times, but mainly the actions were like a lot of tying downs, just supporting the people who were tied down, stopping machinery, stopping construction on whichever day that was, or just simply reminding people why we were there and to stay in prayer and to keep moving forward. But every day was just like a front lines. Whenever the night of the water cannons, I was in Brooklyn with some other Standing Rock Youth members on the Standing Rock Youth Council. We were in Brooklyn putting up a teepee in Hillary Clinton's campaign headquarters. And that day we did that action. We put it up and we told her that we didn't want this pipeline here. And she was a running candidate at the time. And so was Donald Trump. They were the two. But we went to go see her hand deliver some papers to her stating that we didn't want that. And then also we went to the Trump Tower, of course, and delivered the same thing. But that day, whenever we heard the water cannons, you know what happened, what was going on? Excuse me, not the water cannons, but the day of the Backwater Bridge, where a lot of people were getting hit, and the very first very hostile reaction from the military workers and the police officers and whoever was there. The first time they did that on the Backwater Bridge, that's whenever we were there, not the night of the water cannons. But anyways, I was feeling bad because I couldn't be here, not to protect anyone, because I know I was far from protecting anyone, because everyone has their own will and everyone had different ways to stop the Dakota Access Pipeline. But that day it was very hurtful because I couldn't be here suffering and standing by their side while they were in this battle. And we were over there, you know, we were like eating good, staying in a nice hotel and just seeing New York and Brooklyn, you know, just like doing all this cool stuff. And here our people are back on the front lines battling, and it was hurtful because you couldn't stand there beside them and go through that with them and help remind them that they're there for a reason. And I guess it's just the whole we are one, we're standing with each other. Like that day I felt like I wasn't standing with them because of the stuff I was doing, but I was also reminded that the front lines is everywhere you go with the Dakota Access Pipeline, because it's not just the workers they're fighting against, it's the Army Corps, it's the government, it's the head leaders in North Dakota that didn't stop this pipeline, that wouldn't attest to it. It was everyone that just supported DAPL, you know, like everywhere you go, the front lines is there, who you come across. It might not look like a war zone like how that did that day, but the front lines is still there, even in Hillary Clinton's campaign headquarters office. It just followed us everywhere we went. And that was one thing that definitely came to my heart, because it was so true. It was everywhere. The front lines were everywhere. It was a different scene, but it was everywhere. So like the frontline action was very different, and those are just some experiences, I guess, that I can attest to.
Well, I guess, like, how did it feel to not have to, but like choose to meet violence with nonviolence? Or what were some things that you kind of maybe were challenged by, or some, I don't know, kind of just like expanding on that maybe?
That's kind of a tough question to answer, I guess, because sometimes, you know, you have that thought in the back of your mind that's like, just go run at them and tackle them down, but you can't because they're federal officers. But fighting fighting violence with non-violence. Um, it's very it came easily for me just because like I'm not a violent person, but I'm not weak as well, I guess. But it was just like a mental game. Honestly, we had to be strong mentally and spiritually. It wasn't a physical thing. It was more of like a mental stage we had to control to be nonviolent in a violent situation. To be resilient, I guess, was the thing that everyone had or had to have, or at least get taught. I don't know how to put that in words, but I guess I really don't know how to answer that.
It's okay. It's a tough one.
Yeah, prayer, definitely prayer. Reminding myself that you can't fight violence with violence because you're just gonna get a more drastic war. But if you fight violence with peace, one side is doing all the damage, but that doesn't mean that they're not seeing the peaceful, welcoming side as well. I guess this is mainly having going with an open heart and open mind to understand, and a lot of resilience, I guess, because a lot of anger, like I said, is back in my mind, but I have to remind myself and remind other people that they're not our enemy. It's just the work that they were doing was really uncalled for, and it's definitely life threatening. But yeah.
Earlier on, you mentioned changing minds and witnessing that. Can you talk about some times that you witnessed the minds of some of the DAPL workers or some of the security and law enforcement changing?
Well, you would around the first time we came back to Stenrak, you would see like the police officers respecting our flags that were put up on the gate to stop the machineries from coming in and out. They, grabbed our flags. They didn't just hand them back to us, but they treated it as, like a veteran or like someone trained in to understand like what freedom really is from the United States flag, and they would like fold it into a triangle. While they did that with our flags as well. They took them down, but they didn't just hand it to us. They folded it up and then gave it back. And then some of them, we would smudge on our side, and then some people would go on the other side, and you see some police officers, like taking that smudge, taking that blessing that we're offering to everyone. And that was like even life-changing at the moment. Like you would think that we would have a different mindset because of what they're doing, but we also knew that they were people too, and that participating in stuff like that, it was just definitely life-changing. And they were really there because they had to work. You would even hear some of that as well, like it's their jobs, but at the same time we had to remind them like it's their job to help their families survive as well, and they're not going to survive with fresh water just polluted with oil because you can't drink that. I guess little stuff like that.